Welcome back to PerpDex Daily. I'm Aaron, and today we're going to be covering Hyperliquid, lighter in the PerpDex scene as usual. And today we're going to be doing kind of a deeper dive into a report from one of the biggest players in crypto, Multicoin Capital. So let's get straight into it. Hype, as we can see today, is trading around $63, and lighter is trading around $1.80. Lighter's been performing really well recently. Yesterday had a big day, up over about 13%. And Hyperliquid right now, truthfully, looks pretty good, very, very strong. And now we're going to move on to the stats. Take a look at Hyperscan. Not too much TWAP buy pressure. It is a Saturday as I'm recording this, and we know weekends are kind of slow for crypto. So not too much TWAP buy pressure, almost about $250,000. But yeah, what's really interesting, and I kind of made this point on Twitter today, is that Hyperliquid, when we take a look at the protocol fees, has been consistently banging out over $2 million a day in fees, and this is absolutely huge. And with these fees, this is leading to hype buybacks. So not too much once again for today, because it is a weekend. Weekends are very slow for financial markets, even though they're open for crypto, still pretty slow. But you can see here, kind of interesting for HIP4 volume. You can see it's starting to actually pick up a little bit. I mean, today's a slow day, as I said, it's a weekend, but you can see over the past kind of 2 weeks, you can see there's kind of growth in volume when it comes to the HIP4 Hyperliquid prediction markets, which is pretty cool to see and everything. But now let's go over to lighter protocol, doing about almost $1 billion worth of volume. Not too much going on today in terms of statistics and stuff. We're gonna move on to the main story of this video, which is Multicoin's capital. And I covered this yesterday, but we didn't go in depth. But just take a look at this. This is from the CEO. Today, Multicoin publishes our hype analysis and valuation. Hype is now one of our largest liquid fund positions, and we've been accumulating aggressively since February. And to keep this in mind, these guys called BNB at $10. All right. And now we're going to kind of get into this, and I don't really want to go super deep in this because it's it's actually not too long. Okay, I know we could kind of go over this, but let's just go down to here. The Everything Exchange. Okay, Hyperliquid's. All right, no, let's actually start from the top because there's some important stuff. I'm looking at this. Okay, Hyperliquid is a vertically integrated layer 1 blockchain and decentralized exchange purpose-built for high-speed trading. In 2025, Hyperliquid generated $873 million in revenue across 2.9 trillion in trading volume. Okay. It grew from 301K to almost 1 million users and ended the year with 6 billion in open interest. Open interest is when somebody has a position open. Okay. Today, Hyperliquid controls more than 59% of open interest across DeFi perp markets, and its 9.6 billion of OI exceeds all major on-chain competitors combined. And OI is a very, it's niche, but it is a very important metric when it comes to DeFi and especially trading platforms. So definitely something to know. And last year, it also began to take meaningful market share from sexes. Monthly perps volume is now 17% of Binance's, up from effectively 0 2 years ago, while open interest has reached 21%. And you can see these statistics on the Hyperliquid ecosystem website. You can see Hyperliquid for sex volume over time, and it's just continuing to grow and grow and grow, which is absolutely bullish. But anyways, last year it began open interest. No, we already read this part. The gains aren't confined to Binance either. Measured against all sexes combined, Hyperliquid's share of both perps volume and OI now sits at an all-time high. And these are really two of the big metrics that you're going to want to see continuing to grow. Now take a look at this. The Everything Exchange. Hyperliquid's core perps and spot business already generates high 9 figures of annual revenue, but we believe several near-term catalysts will continue to meaningfully compound growth and help move it toward our vision of a single unified Everything Exchange. First, HIP3 is actively expanding the platform beyond crypto-native assets, which is absolutely huge, and this is what makes Hyperliquid super special. RW-linked OI has passed $2.9 billion, and the officially licensed S&P 500 perp generated more than 100 million in daily volume during its first week. And also, another thing, which I don't know if they'll bring it up, but once again, you still can't use Hyperliquid in the US without a VPN. That's how early we are. But anyways, markets on deployers like Trade XYZ now include oil, gold, silver, equity and DCs, and individual stocks. We expect more deployers to emerge that specialize in specific asset classes or geographic regions. which should expand the addressable universe of tradable assets across the platform, attracting more traders and volume in the process. And this, yeah, the S&P 500 thing was a big deal when it comes out, and it's still a massive deal that they have an exclusive deal with them. And really, that's what makes Hyperliquid so special. It's not just about trading crypto. You can trade oil 24/7. You can trade gold, silver. You know, we've seen this kind of with the whole war and the oil price. Hyperliquid has really been put in the spotlight. Second, HIB4 is bringing prediction markets and options to the platform, which have historically failed to find product market fit in DeFi because they're all isolated protocols. Portfolio margining across financial products will allow traders to manage positions across asset classes within a single risk engine and should help fuel adoption of both HIP3 and HIP4. We expect Hyper EVM to eventually allow lending protocols, structured products, and other financial applications to plug directly into Hyperliquid's prices and liquidity, thus deepening the liquidity network effect across the platform. And yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people don't even understand. They talked about in the beginning. Hyperliquid is just the perp DEX on the Hyper EVM, so which is a layer 1. You know, and then they talk about the catalysts and how this can expand and how the TAM is so big. Now let's take a look at this. Outlook. Hyperliquid's trajectory looks eerily similar. Sorry, I keep messing up words. It's early in the morning. Early on a fucking Saturday. Eerily similar to Binance's early years. In 2017, Binance went from a new upstart to the dominant sex in approximately 6 months. The market then, as it now, underestimates how quickly liquidity compounds, how powerful the flywheel product selection volume becomes, and how much value BNB could capture. We published our BNB report at $10. Now BNB trades at $5.63. And yeah, that's another thing. And I think I talk about this in videos, but I think people have bear market PTSD in the sense of like, we haven't seen something this good in a long time. I personally think it's the best crypto project ever. And it's like, I think everyone's just saying, oh my God, it's at a $15 billion market cap, you know, top. But it's like, dude, for a really good tech company that's actually disrupting finance, there's no fucking reason it can't go over 100 billion valuation. Seriously. In terms of circulating market cap, I don't see any reason why Hyperliquid couldn't go to multi-100 billion long term, considering how disruptive it is. And it's sitting at a $15 billion market cap, and people in the US still can't even use it without a VPN. We haven't even seen Congress, you know, put out the Clarity Act or anything. So, but anyways, as it says here, Hyperliquid is following a similar playbook with the structural advantages Binance didn't have. Its non-custodial execution is fully on-chain and verifiable, and revenue used for daily token buybacks. Rather than accruing to a separate equity layer, it's also expanding into commodities, equities, prediction markets and options, and outsources user acquisition. So, the alignment between the token exchanges is also worth highlighting. Hype is one of the cleanest token designs we've seen in crypto. Approximately 99% of the protocol revenue is used to buy back Hype. Yeah, and this is absolutely huge. And this is kind of the thing I try to make, you know, the point to Chainlink holders. Chainlink has an amazing business, but the value does not accrue to the token. This is part of the reason Hyperliquid and Hype is so strong, because the value the platform is generating actually accrues to the token. So you as a token holder actually benefit from the business doing well, and that's not the case for something like Chainlink. So, and then they say, okay, there's certainly risk around decentralization, governance, regulation, competition, bad debt, and Hyper EVM composability, which we address in the full report. However, we believe they're manageable. And that's kind of the thing. Obviously, you know, the price direction. At $60, Hype trades at roughly 36 TTM earnings, or approximately 30x earnings, including the now live Coinbase USD agreement. Under our valuation frameworks and base case assumptions discussed in the full report, we project $8 billion in annual earnings by 2028, implying a price of $319 at a 20x multiple. Okay, and that really gets into like, this was a good article. I like how they compared stuff to Binance, and of course there's always risk, but I think this is a really good breakdown, and it's good to see really big players continuing to step in. I think this is, Mike talked about this on the podcast we did 2 days ago, which you guys should definitely listen to if you made it this far in the video. But Hyperliquid actually has big backers and not just retail, which I think is absolutely huge. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, make sure to join the Discord. And we're posting daily videos on Hyperliquid. Also, make sure to go follow me on X, and thank you for watching.